Welcome back to the Skegness Distillery. I'm Sam Clark and today we will be doing session 2 of Facebook. So, we've already talked about what Facebook is in general, but what we're going to do today is talk a little bit about how Facebook is relevant to tourism and hospitality businesses and the wider visitor economy. So the main thing that businesses need to remember, especially when they're customer facing, which is the predominant amount of businesses in tourism and hospitality, is that Facebook is like a digital shop window. And what that means is that it needs to represent what your business actually is. It is something that you need to be very aware of, which is that your customers will go onto your Facebook and that Facebook has to match the experience of the actual real life location. So for example, if you are on the seafront, you want to make sure that that Facebook page represents that whole area. It shouldn't just be a picture of shop frontage. It should be making sure that you have pictures of the location, you know, because a lot of people come to locations to see the whole location. It's not just to see your shop. So for example, if you were in Lincoln, you want to make sure that there are pictures of, you know, Steep Hill, the cathedral, those things that tourists always visit. And the reason for that is because what you also want to be doing is advertising the actual place you're in. Because again, it's a shop window and shop windows are supposed to sell. So you want to say, right, this is my business, and yes, I'm going to have the information about my business on my Facebook page, but I am going to use it as an advertising and branding tool. And I have to make sure that whatever people see is communicating what I want them to do, which is come and visit this amazing place, and you know, there's lots of things to do here. And you know, if you come here, you'll have a really good time. That's what you really want to do with your digital shop window. So another thing that's really important about making it a good shop window is the same as you would have in retailing, which is making sure your display is nice. And an example of that is making sure that you're using really strong photography. It's far better to get someone to take really nice photos and share those once or twice a month than it is to just post updates every day with quite poorly taken photos on a mobile phone. If you can afford to get professional photography and you can afford to have imagery that looks like it is branded, then that is far more powerful and it will have a much better impact, especially with businesses that sell food, for example. You want to think about that presentation. You want to think about how can I capture an image that makes people go, wow, that's really good. Because although it is just Facebook, it is still a part of your business and it is still going to be seen as part of your business. So that consistency of quality needs to be maintained. So as well as using photography, you can also use video. Now the thing is with video is it can be very difficult to get very high quality video, especially if you're doing things yourself. So to be honest, I would encourage you to think about, you know, if there is a budget available, if you're able to make that investment, try and get a professionally made video. The benefit of that is you will have something that you can then use for years. If that video is good enough, you can keep using it at different times of year. So for example, if there's key seasonal dates, you can use that video to promote your business to your customers. Social proof is another thing that really matters. And what do I mean by social proof? So social proof is making sure that customers actually will be comfortable enough to buy from you and confident to buy from you. And Facebook allows you to do that. So if you've just set up your business and no one's really bought from you before, but you know you've had a couple of customers come through the door and they've all been really happy with the service or products they bought, you want to encourage those people to give you reviews on places like Facebook. And the reason for that is because if people aren't sure about something, they'll usually go on their phone, they'll Google that business because they're not sure, they've never heard of it, and they want to have a look at the reviews. And if you're the one with good reviews, then you're building that trust with that potential customer. What you're doing there is you're saying, yes, you can trust us. If you buy from us, you're going to be okay and it's all good. And it also allows for comparison as well, especially with things like hotels. A lot of people are looking at not just price comparisons, but also the comparisons of things like reviews to make sure that they are going to get a good experience. And some people are looking for very particular things as well. So if you have, for example, dog-friendly rooms in your hotel, you want to make sure that when you get reviews from people and you ask them to give you reviews, that you do encourage them to mention those kinds of things, because to a lot of people that can be really, really important. And making sure that you get reviews is something I would actively encourage every business to do. The second thing is customer service. So when you think of Facebook generally, you'll probably think of it as a promotional tool. You'll think of it as somewhere where you can share those photos, just like I've said. You can say, give me reviews on there, and you want to share customer photos and so on, but it's also really, really good for customer service. So for example, what you can do is if you're finding that you get lots of questions through Facebook and they're always the same kinds of questions, so for example, are you closed on a bank holiday? What you can do is set up auto messages in Facebook Messenger. What that then allows you to do is automatically give people the answer to that question. And that's really, really, really beneficial, because then you don't have to worry about response times, you don't have to worry about making sure that customer's question has been answered, it's just done for you automatically. But at the same time, if people do ask questions and they don't get the answer that they're looking for, then you can make sure that you do log on and you do check your messages and make sure that you are replying to those specific questions that people might have. In session 1, we talked a little bit about how Facebook can be used as an online shop. A couple of years ago, Facebook only allowed you to link out to an external website. So a potential customer would have to go to your Facebook page, and then if they wanted to buy something from you or book something, they would have to click on that link, go to your website, and then click around your website to try and find what they were looking for. Now the problem with that is a lot of people just can't be bothered. It's a frustrating process and it's not an easy way to sell products, especially if it's something that they've seen on your news feed. So for example, if you sell products in a shop and you say it's available online, then that person will want to be able to say, that's really easy, I'm just going to click on that now, I'm just going to buy it now. But if you make that decision process too long, people might be hesitant to bother. So the online shop allows you to list products directly onto Facebook. Now the benefit of that is, again, people can easily buy your products. There can be some issues with setting that up. It is not the easiest thing to do, and you may need professional help to do so, but it is something that I would definitely encourage you to do, especially if you sell products. The last thing is advertising. So again, as we've already discussed in session 1, the strength in Facebook's advertising is in its targeting. So targeting is all about making sure you're showing adverts to the right people at the right time. So what Facebook does is Facebook has a media platform which basically allows you to buy adverts within Facebook. The adverts that you use have to be created by you, so you do have to create images and you do have to write the text for it, and then you have to choose targeting. And again, targeting is things like demographics being making sure you're choosing the right age group. So for example, if your customers are over 50, you would want to make sure that you're selecting that group of customers or potential customers. You want to make sure you're targeting men if most of your customers are men, and making sure that you're narrowing down that target market so that you're actually targeting the right people. That allows you to then have control over your budgets so that you're only spending money where it needs to go. So when you're using Facebook as a business, it's also really important to think about how potential employees may see your business. And that's really important. If you're a business that looks after your staff and you're a business that really does care about the culture of your organisation, then you want to be able to show that. You want to showcase that publicly. And when you think about it, customers will also care. A lot of people want to make sure that they're actually giving their custom to businesses that do care about their staff. No one wants to go to a hotel where the staff are being shouted at or bullied by management. That can ruin their experience. So if a customer can see that a business does care about its community and its staff and employees, then that is a business that is more likely to get customers. So in summary, there are a lot of things that you can use Facebook for as a business, but I would definitely encourage you to make sure that you're using it in a way that is fun and engaging for yourself, not just your audience. If you've got personality, you want that to come through in your newsfeed. You want to be talking to your customers in normal language, in the way that they speak, in the way that you speak to them. You want that personality to come through. So that is the end of the 2 sessions on Facebook. I hope you found those useful and interesting.